All right, going live in three, two, one.
Obligatory, are we live? Yep, I heard it.
Yes,
There
we
was the
are.
beep.
We are live.
Sweet. Sweet.
Happy Monday,
Alright.
everybody.
Monday. This is Monday? Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh,
Doesn't
ladies
feel.
and gentlemen, welcome to your Monday night Locked and Loaded. Apparently we're going to be streaming Monday nights from now on. Um, I
is
am
that a
your host,
fact?
Mark Big 2150, with your co-host, Sergeant Buck, and our program manager, Poveros.
Hello.
Hopefully we've got an entertaining show for you tonight, but I'm a little skeptical of it.
Gotta be skeptical of everything these days.
Hey. If it gets boring, I could just show them the picture of Donald Trump's face and someone's hair.
I mean, we could do that, or we could, have an entertaining show to begin with.
Hey,
Is
hey.
it Monday or is it Tuesday? Oh, it really depends on where you are. Cynic, you're in you know,
You're
what's
in
it
the
called?
future as far as we're
You're in
concerned.
the barbaric world where it's Tuesday already. We're in, the Western world where it's Monday. The
Tuesdays
city
for
is definitely not first.
Tuesdays for communists.
What's Monday for?
Hmm. All right.
Alright, you wanna...
Who wants to take first seat on this one?
Uh, I'd be happy to get us kicked off at least for the first paragraph, since.
And we're okay.
All right, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. First article on the docket is comes to us courtesy of the Wall Street Journal's tech section. YouTube hiring for some positions excluded white and Asian men, lawsuit says. Former employee alleges tech firm set quotas for hiring minorities. Why am I not surprised?
Well, I mean, James Dore is a thing.
Yeah. This is by Kirsten Grind and Douglas McMillan. What an unfortunate last name. All right.
Grind?
Yeah. YouTube last year stopped hiring white and Asian males for technical positions because they didn't help the world's largest video site achieve its goals for improving diversity, according to a civil lawsuit filed by a former employee. And
You mean several former employees?
Yeah,
at
it's a
this rate,
class action, isn't it?
There's two. There's
Oh,
two lawsuits alleging this shit.
right.
There's one by what's his face that did that memo, and then there's that other one. Oh, actually, Wilberg is the other one. Okay.
go away, advertise. Go. Get.
It,
There's no X. I
have
can't get
you
rid of it.
tried refreshing?
I have tried refreshing, actually.
All right. Well, you're just gonna have to live with it and scroll down.
I can't go any further down. I'm at the bottom of the
Jesus.
fucking page.
That is.
Mark,
Send me the link. Let me see if I can't.
It's in the chat.
Oh yeah, you're right. Is it? I'm just dumb.
So
Uh,
this
I'm
fucking
dumb.
Gee,
Wall Street Journal. There it is. Oh, yep. It won't do it. It won't let me read it either. So we're gonna have to find another article. All right, let's move on to the next article. Pav, you find us a suitable replacement while we do that, please.
All right, fucking technical difficulties that aren't even ours. Great. Thanks, Wall Street Journal. You're doing good. All right, now this will be something a bit more relevant. No, well, not relevant. Relevant's the wrong word. Fun, definitely. Anita Sarkeesian criticizes Trump for anti-violent game rhetoric despite sharing Trump's views. This is from One Angry Gamer, courtesy of Billy D. Billy D. That's... Huh.
Billy D.
Not Billy D. Williams, just Billy D. There's no last name.
All right. Well, keep going.
All right.
I'm intrigued.
Culture critic Anita Sarkeesian criticized President Donald Trump for his recent meetings and statements blaming violent video games and movies for the Parkland, Florida high school shooting. She tweeted out that President Trump has been using video games as a scapegoat. +1.
What? I mean, this is Anita Sarkeesian, right?
Last I checked.
Isn't she infamous for blaming video games for shit that happens in real life?
Last
Yeah,
I
it's
checked.
kind of her entire shtick.
That's when all this RE Trump using video games as a scapegoat. Twitter link. I'm not going to bother with that. Some of One Angry Gamer's readers feared that the media would be latching onto her comments to use as a sounding board for anti-Trump screeds, despite the fact that Sarkeesian is no saint when it comes to criticizing video games for violence and sexism.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, it is. And didn't hesitate to go to the United Nations in a bid to have censorship applied to online communities. Anita, Orwell would not like you.
The levels of the lack of self-awareness is just, it's there. You know, it's quite literally just there.
It's
If it could
beautiful.
manifest as a physical thing, Anita Sarkeesian would be that physical thing.
In fact, during the 2015 E3 press conference that Bethesda held, Anita Sarkeesian used the Feminist Frequency Twitter account, Morty, to reproach the industry for the extreme violence that was on display for the then upcoming release of the 2016 version of Doom. The tweet was posted on June 14th, 2015. This level of extreme violence shouldn't be considered normal. It's not an excuse to say it's expected because Doom, that's the problem. You've never played Doom, have you?
I love Doom. Doom is so fun.
I need to replay the fourth one. Or better yet, I need to get my uncle to sit down and play it. Because when we talk games, he will only talk about the classic one. Not
You
that
know,
it's bad.
I will admit that I really, really liked the classic one.
Mm-hmm.
But of the Doom games, my favorite is definitely the 2016 version.
It's got the whole rip and tear thing going for it. That's
Yeah, it does. It totally does.
very nice.
You know, I've
Like,
actually
it's
been,
just-
to interject just a little bit more. I've actually been playing the new Wolfenstein games recently. I'm playing the most recent one, New Colossus.
Oh,
Anyways,
I haven't gotten to that
there's-
one.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's so far it's pretty interesting. It's pretty out there. So, continuing on with
Yeah,
the article. Sorry to get off track.
that's all right. There's some other tweets here.
Now I want to play Doom again.
troubling and yeah, me too. On a higher difficulty, it's really troubling and depressing that the BE3 audience is enthusiastically cheering for bodies being ripped apart. They're demons.
They're
Cute.
not people.
Cue Alex Jones.
I can't do an Alex Jones voice without being really freaking obnoxious. So,
I can do it. I'd have to be loud, and I don't do.
like
loud.
I said, obnoxiously loud. I'm not allowed to do it.
I love this tweet so much. So, work of art. We need to seriously address connections between violence, sexism, and toxic ideas of manhood before boys and men commit more mass shootings.
Oh, that
October 24th, 2014.
just whew,
October
Just-
24th, 2014, and then December 17th, 2012. Well,
Oh, it's
he
been
did
going
say
on
it
for that
first.
long. So this isn't a new thing.
No, apparently he's been holding this. He's held this opinion for a while now.
President Donald
which
Trump
sucks.
said the exact same thing about violent video games. Here's a tweet from December 17th, 2012 from Trump before he became president of the United States of America. Video game violence and I can't fucking do it. God damn it.
No,
Video
you
game
can't.
violence and glorification must be stopped. It is creating monsters. But what if we're killing monsters in the games?
That's the
did you
whole
think
idea
that?
of Doom, at least.
Yeah.
Monsters. I don't think you kill a single actual person in the entire game.
You do kill lots of former people.
Yeah, former people, but they're grotesquely mutated, and they don't even look like people anymore.
All the more reason to get rid of them.
Exactly. Moving on.
But the similarities and views on violent games don't end there. Back in 2010, during a presentation, before she started the Tropes vs. Women in Games series, Sarkeesian admitted that not only was she not a fan of video games, but that violent video games were gross. Recon Gamer has the clip, which you can view below. And she was not a gamer, back in 2010. Okay. Unable to view the video or hear audio. Let's just go right to the quote. I'm not exactly in fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
So we've got to share this.
Okay,
we'll bring that up. We'll bring that up
okay.
in a second here.
Keep going with the article,
Yeah.
but
I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people or ripping off their heads. It's just gross. Hence, this is my response to that. You know, Anita, there's a game called Animal Crossing.
well, there's a game called Stardew Valley.
There's tons of
there's
games
a game
where
called Terraria. There's a game called Crash Bandicoot. You can lift off numerous games that don't have you tearing off people's heads.
and not only that,
but they're
these
not
games,
as fun.
but they sell. They do sell. There is a market.
Yeah, there's a massive market.
Just,
Yeah, especially for Crash Bandicoot.
instead
There
of-
would be a market for Crash Bandicoot if they made any more.
Didn't they do it? They did a remastered version recently, didn't they?
They did a
Yeah.
remat.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah, like 5 years ago, wasn't it?
No,
Remastered
the
was
remastered.
like
I believe that was within the
last year.
last year or two.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it was last year.
I didn't know that.
People were
I'm gonna
getting,
have to- I'm gonna have
people
to
were
take a look at this.
upset. Not like you know, the kids were like, "Why is this game so hard?"
What?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it got
oh, yeah.
immense criticism for being hard.
But all they did was remaster it.
It's the exact same mechanics, just a new
Yeah.
coat of paint.
Oh
All,
my
all the people who
God.
actually played the game, like, sounds like the three of us were like, "This is great."
It was fantastic. It was one of my favorite games.
But like my younger cousin was like, "No, I don't like that game. It's too hard. You only die. You die in one hit." Son, let me tell you about a little game called Mario. All right, back to the article. Instead of outright calling for censorship, Sarkeesian wanted to subvert the way people viewed violent, that's a typo, video games by subliminally pushing the anti-violent stance through anti-sexist rhetoric, which was actually attached to the broader discussion about toxic masculinity. It wasn't very subliminal now, was it? It was kind of pretty fucking obvious. By addressing sexism in gaming, Sarkeesian used it as a way to discuss patriarchal tendencies in video games that were born of toxic masculinity. Hence, she viewed violence in video games as being a subset of that masculine trait. But where's the proof?
No. We only deal in
No.
assertions here, people. We only deal in assertions. Baseless assertions. Keep going.
Give me them sweet, baseless accusations.
I mean, I could give you plenty, but keep going.
President,
Go on.
excuse me. President Donald Trump didn't have to use gender politics to get across his dislike of violence in media, simply stating that I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. I mean, it's made me want to write action stories. So maybe? Huge fucking ass question mark? In a separate meeting with members of Congress just recently, President Trump reiterated his disdain for extreme violence, saying, I think that's a very important point. The video games, the movies, the internet stuff, it's so violent, it's so incredible. I see it, I get to see things you'd be amazed at. I have a young son, a very young son who watches. I look at some of the things he's watching and I say, how's that possible? And this is what kids are watching. And maybe you have to take a look at it. So both Donald Trump and Anita Sarkeesian believe that overt violence in video games are gross and incredible. It should be in violent video games is gross and incredible, the latter of which was used with negative connotations. Both also believe that video game media can shape the minds of players. Sort of. It depends on... It does depend on a few things.
You know what? I just kind of. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
here,
no,
but you know what I just kind of realized?
Who's
You
up?
haven't put a link to the Discord channel in the description.
Are we starting that? Are we making that a thing?
That'd be
I mean, why not? We have a Discord server.
Be a very easy thing to fix.
Boom.
Very easy thing to fix. Oh God, what the fuck? I just looked at that link. Oh Jesus Christ, we're gonna cover that. It's gonna be like Jeff reading that Star Trek fic.
Well, I'm not.
Maybe not that.
I'm not saying we're gonna do that, but just like, I'm always doing background stuff, and I just happened to find that. And
Well,
I'm
we're
like-
sharing it.
I'm
yeah,
like,
we're
oh
sharing
my god.
We're gonna bring this up here.
Yeah,
once this
keep
article's
with
over.
the finish the article, and then we can do any fixings while we're sharing that and amusing ourselves with it.
We'll keep you in suspense, folks. Okay. While Sarkeesian never focused solely on video game violence in her videos, she did believe that sexist themes in games could help shape sexist views about women in real life. From the first episode of Tropes vs. Women in Games, Sarkeesian states, the reality is that this trope, goddammit, is being used in a real-world context where backward sexist attitudes are already rampant. It's a sad fact that a large percentage of the world's populations still clings to the deeply sexist belief that women as a group need to be sheltered, protected, and taken care of by men. I mean, that's kind of human nature. But, the belief that women are somehow a naturally weaker gender is a deeply ingrained, socially constructed myth, which of course is completely false, but the notion is reinforced and perpetuated when women are continuously portrayed as frail, fragile, and vulnerable creatures. Push-up contest, let's go. Right now.
You would lose.
Yeah, I would lose. I'm built like a fucking twig.
I don't even if you were built like a twig, you'd still lose.
Yeah, I would. Just to be clear, I am not saying
Sorry, I'm coughing so much, guys. It's the reason why we didn't do Saturday.
He's got the plague. Get your
I
masks.
have a plague. It might not be
Your
the
dad.
plague.
Bring out your dad.
Just to be clear, I am not saying that all games use the damsel in distress as a plot device. Wait, fucking what? That all games using the damsel in distress as a plot device are automatically sexist or have no value. But it's undeniable that popular culture is a powerful influence in our lives. Jesus Christ, 3 typos, 3 strikes and you're out, kid. And the damsel in distress trope as a recurring trend does help to normalize extremely toxic, patronizing, and paternalistic attitudes about women. God, this sounds right out of my critical theory book.
You got a shitty book.
Yeah, it's awful. So to recap, President Donald Trump believes extreme violence can help negatively shape the views and minds of young gamers. Cultural critic Anita Sarkeesian believes that violence and sexism can help negatively shape the views and minds of gamers. As a way to be politically antipodes?
Spell that word for me.
Antipodes. But to say politically antipodes, that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't. I don't even know what that word means.
It's Greek for something.
I'm an uncultured swine, so.
As a way to be politically antipodes to President Trump, we're seeing identitarian propagandists like Sarkeesian and Polygon take opposing stances to what the president has stated, despite sharing similar or identical views in the past, which means they have no principles. If they did, they'd be agreeing with Trump. And if they were to stick to their guns because the president agrees with them, I would say, hey, good on them. I don't agree with them, but Christ, it's like, which one's more evil, games or the president? Apparently the president. I don't get it. Hopefully gamers can see through the ruse from media and certain critics who are now trying to get back into the good grace of the community. This is despite the fact that just 4 years ago, game journalists launched an anti-gamer crusade that made it all the way into mainstream media. Certain journalists even went so far as to say that members of the gaming community were, quote, worse than ISIS.
Yeah. Good old Gamergate.
G fucking G. And
is anybody else just, not completely and utterly surprised by Anita Sarkeesian backpedaling on her own fucking positions?
Positions that she
just because the president espouses said positions, a president that she absolutely fucking hates because it's not Hillary Clinton. I mean, come on. If you really think about it, any man that ran against Hillary Clinton in this previous election would have had the same demonization that President Trump is dealing with right now and has been dealing with ever since. Even Bernie Sanders was dealing with demonization and shit.
Just look at him giving up his podium to Black Lives Matter in downtown Seattle. I remember that.
Yep. I only saw bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, he should have been more assertive then. I might have liked him a little more. But whatever. What? That's it for this article. Oh, Anita, you spent how long developing these things, and now you're like, nope, no, gotta get rid of it all.
All right. Well, now I believe it is time for us to pull back the curtain on what we've been giggling about. Y'all might find this hilarious.
That fucking cover art.
It's something.
There, so that's the first page of it. I'll just upload it.
The Seduction of Anita Sarkeesian.
What the fuck is going on with my recommended? Zoom in. Holy shit, that's close. All right. Am I gonna have to read the first page?
No,
'Cause I will do
I'll read that one.
All right.
Hi, my name is Anita Sarkeesian, the #1 feminist anti-gaming critic in the world today. Why am I writing this work? After all, it takes effort to do this, but the world needs this and the world needs me. So that's why. Fucking cunt. Think about it. I'm a feminist, so I got to always conduct myself in a feminist manner. But nobody can be feminist 100% of the time. Not even me. So I write this book to share some of my secret thoughts. I guarantee they will be juicy. Only special people get this inside view. And you just happen to be one of them. You'll get to hear my darkest and lightest thoughts. In fact, you'll learn everything about me. Even things not mentioned on YouTube or Wikipedia. Certainly not things I make known to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Wait, that is a sexist phrase, so I will start over. Certainly not things I make known to every Barb, Sheila, and Layla. I love feminism. I live for feminism. I live to critique video games from a feminist perspective. Get ready for my private thoughts. Wow, I would say this was actually written by Anita Sarkeesian, just from the way that was written, but I know it wasn't written by her.
This is awful.
Here,
That cover art, though.
The fucking cover art.
the cover art is my favorite.
Jesus Christ.
So go look at like 4.
4?
Yeah, it's the newest picture of them.
Oh dear Lord.
Is that chapter 4?
I think it is. I'm basically giving you guys
Samples?
because you have to buy buy
you-
the book.
Did you buy the book?
No. I just I found a place that had a preview of it.
Okay, I'm gonna
And,
read
like-
this. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Whatever you do, don't share the following with other contemporary feminists like Witch Magazine. Yes, I masturbate. I'm a sexual being, after all. In fact, I masturbate a lot. Andrea Dworkin may not like this, but she will never know because she is in feminist heaven. Just because I hate patriarchy doesn't mean I don't masturbate. What would I do without masturbation? Self-pleasure is good. Feminist theorists don't write about masturbation enough.
Oh, you'd be
Feminist
surprised.
theorists don't masturbate enough. I'm going to change that even if I have to keep this private. Don't objectify my masturbation. I hate patriarchy, but I love
Too
masturbation.
late.
I can't imagine anyone masturbating me as well as I masturbate myself. In an alternate reality, I could be known as the queen of masturbation. Right now, I have to settle for queen of feminist anti-gaming. Alas. Did you know that after all my commentaries on sexism and pop culture, I masturbate? Yeah. Yes, giving feminist critiques puts me in that special mood.
Jesus.
Excuse me. Holy crap, this is fucking gold. This is fucking gold.
I couldn't ignore it when I saw it. I'm like, no.
Oh, I'm seriously debating actually buying this just for the giggle.
Just to be like,
No. I can. So I can. what I'm thinking about doing, it's free as an audiobook.
It's free as an audiobook.
As an audiobook.
Someone had to read this and record themselves doing it. Oh, that makes me feel great.
That Buck, you did talk about, doing narration. This would be an interesting first one.
God. Oh. Who's gonna pay for my therapy?
Who's paying for your therapy now?
Point made. What therapy?
Oh man, no, I was.
I can't see what's going on in the chat.
I can. Sidious is just asking who got paid reading this out loud. I'm like,
Somebody.
I mean, if I could get paid to read it out loud, I absolutely would, but
Somebody definitely did.
definitely.
Oh.
So
This
the
is
guy,
hilarious.
How much is it?
Like
it's
$8 or $9, I think.
for $8 for the digital version. It's
Yeah, the Kindle
$11.92.
version is $9. The paperback is $11.92, and the audiobook is free with your Audible trial.
Yup.
Oh, I'm already subscribed to Audible.
So it's
So you could get it for free.
just listen to it, Buck, and come back to us with tales of wonder and
Holy
do-
crap!
I'll do fucking reaction videos to each chapter. Just what the fuck?
it's ridiculous.
So I'm looking down at customers who viewed this item also viewed,
I was
and
getting
I'm
that.
looking at some very interesting things.
Yeah, I'm looking at a Diva poster, an Xbox controller.
Daiki Oda non-illustration
Yeah, that's on mine too.
PVC figurine, 2 PS4 games, and then
Neither of which I've heard of.
a prison school Hana Midorikawa 1/7 size PVC figurine statue for $156 fucking dollars.
Is she taking off her pants? She's taking off
She's
her
either
pants.
taking them off or putting them on.
Have you not read any of Prison School, the manga, at all?
I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Oh, dude, it is
I don't need to animate.
full. It is full of cringe. It's hilarious, but it's full of cringe. So I had to stop
Wait.
because it was so bad.
Why?
It's like it is one of the most perverted non-hentai mangas I have ever seen.
It's non-hentai.
It's not hentai.
Why is one of Steven Pinker's books suggested for this?
I don't know. I mean, I've got the Congressman's Wife from Ret Dawn in here.
Yeah, I saw that, and then just lots of scantily clad anime figures.
Blade Runner.
Why the fuck
Blade
is
Runner,
Kingdom
isn't
Come
it?
Kingdom Come Deliverance on here?
I don't know. I think someone was just looking up
First blueprint.
Anita Sarkeesian.
Oh, there we go. Crash override. Yep. All right. It all comes together.
Yep, I see it too. Zoe Quinn.
Oh.
Zoe Quinn's book.
Oh, she wrote a book.
Blade Runner.
She did. She did read a. She did write a book.
How old is she? She looks really old in this picture.
Because she's in her late 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought she was older than that.
I was just guessing.
I mean, I'm guessing too. Maybe that's just a testament to how unattractive she is.
I don't know. I mean, maybe she's in her early 30s, but I know she's not in her late 30s. I know she's not that old. She's at most around my age.
Honestly, the fucking title of her book pisses me off. You can't override a crash. You can prevent it, you can't undo it. God damn it.
That's the whole.
Learn
Do
to
you?
code, bitch.
Let me ask you a question. Are you not familiar with that movie from the 90s called Hackers with Christina not sorry, Angelina Jolie in it,
No.
you know, before she had tits?
I'm not
That's
familiar with
that's
that one.
where she's pulling the phrase crash override from. It was the hacker what's it? Tag
Yeah.
name.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like a screen.
I didn't know that. It's still dumb.
It's actually an entertaining movie.
I'm sure
Just
the
from
movie's
the
great.
sheer that's not even plausible aspect, because they get some things kinda right, but at the same time they get things so amazingly wrong. It's fucking hilarious.
What was the Tim Robbins film? Was that Source Code? Or am I thinking of
I
something
don't
else?
know. You might be thinking of something.
It was like a kid.
Anyways, I think
Yeah.
it's time to move on to the next article, because I think we've milked this lol cow for as much as we're gonna get.
We can stop staring at anime figures.
Who's staring here, buddy?
Shut
Alright,
up.
so Rhode Island Bill from Fox News.
All right. On to the Rhode Island Belt.
All right, now I guess I'll take this one since you took the bullet on that first one.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's just hope I don't, die from asphyxiation from coughing. Rhode Island bill would charge residents $20 to unblock porn and offensive content. Oh my god, fuck you.
You want to just read the article?
Sorry,
That's such an
I'm
old
getting
baby.
to it. I'm getting to it. A new bill aims to charge Rhode Island residents a one-off $20 fee to access sexually explicit content online and impose stringent rules on internet providers that do not comply with the law. Two state Democrats, Senator Frank, however you spell that name, and Senator Hannah Gallo, introduced a bill on Thursday that would mandate internet providers to block sexual content and patently offensive material, the Providence Journal reported. What constitutes offensive material? Consumers will be able to lift the block, but only if they paid a fee of $20. The fees would be collected by the state government and go to the state's treasurer and fund the operations of the Council on Human Trafficking. How would they track this?
That's a very good question.
It's a
How
very
would
good
how would
question.
they track this? It's like you can't even track it by IP. IPs are
Yeah.
not static. They're dynamic. They change.
Also, multiple people like you could use a MAC address if you wanted to. That's specifically tied to the network card built into the.
But every
computer.
single time you change the network card, you'd have to pay another $20
Yeah,
fee.
that, and also, I have multiple devices that go on the internet. I have a phone. I have
Exactly. You'd have to pay $20 for every MAC address that you register. No, it's not feasible for this.
I
Would they
bet they
create like a login?
I bet they think two people on one keyboard works.
Anyways, consumers will be able to lift, but only. I already read that. The fees would be collected by the state. Read that. Some people expressed
There we go.
opposition to the bill, criticizing the lawmaker for conflating sex work with human trafficking. Want to propose action adverse to hashtag sex work or hashtag sex workers? Conflate human trafficking into discussion, wrote on Twitter user. What the fuck?
This is Fox News. Fix your
Sex work is
typos.
not trafficking. I produce my content, I book my sessions, I make money from my sex work. Nobody is forcing me into this. I enjoy this line of work, tweeted another woman who claims to be a sex worker. Under the new measure, if it passes the General Assembly, internet providers would also face consequences if they do not comply with the law according to the bill's text. The bill asks the providers to establish a reporting mechanism such as a website or call center to allow a consumer to report unblocked sexual content or potentially offensive material or report blocked material that is not sexual content or potentially offensive. Huh. So it's all whatever. The text of the initiative does not specifically does not specify what constitutes offensive material online, but the companies could face monetary damages if they do not create effective reporting systems, allowing consumers and the state attorney general to sue for leaving offensive and sexually explicit content accessible with a block. Okay. For every piece of content reported, but still accessible to the consumers, the Attorney General or a consumer may file a civil suit against a provider and seek damages up to $500.
What?
But how would you see it unless you sought it out? You're doing it to yourself.
Well, how long would it take the bureaucracy to ban whatever material gets reported? Because if it's all done through the state, it's not going to get done in a timely fashion. I can tell you that.
True, but it still comes back to how would you know unless you were looking for it?
Yeah.
It's like porn just doesn't fall into your freaking lap. That would be amazing if it did, but it doesn't. You have to actually look for it. It's one of the reasons why they implemented freaking incognito mode on Google Chrome. It's so that you can go looking for it without someone being able to see your freaking search history. I'm sorry, I'm turning off this fucking TV because I'm the only one out here now. It's distracting. Fucking Fox News.
How could you?
It's the same thing with the offensive material. It's just like the stuff that I could agree is offensive, like gore or snuff material. You have to look for it.
Yeah, you don't just find that shit on Pornhub. I don't even think Pornhub allows that. I haven't checked.
It doesn't.
Nor am I going to check.
It doesn't. Pornhub doesn't even violence. It doesn't even allow the rape stuff, like the fake rape stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't do any of that. It's like, as far as I'm aware, most of the stuff that's online right now, they don't allow that kind of stuff because it's actually illegal. You know, snuff and gore porn is illegal in the United States, as far as I'm aware.
Last I checked.
You know, even like acting as if if they're being raped is illegal to film. You know, because it would be too difficult to freaking actually, you know, pick out who's actually being forced into this film or not.
Yeah.
Then again, revenge porn, you know, that's totally legal.
Yes, sir.
Somehow.
Somehow, yeah. I mean, a lot of revenge taken down when complains about it. Whatever. Either way, it still comes back to you're not going to find this content unless you're specifically looking for it. You know, search engines have certain filters. Unless you look for those specific keywords, you're not going to fucking find it.
Yeah, but like back to the idea just at hand here with the whole like premise of this is like a this couldn't be something that only Rhode Island could enforce.
No,
This would have to
no,
be.
yeah,
This would have to be. Yeah, this would have to be just like adopted by not only every state but the majority of the world as well.
not only that, but there are actually laws that would prevent this from going in anyway.
Which
Trade,
laws?
Yeah.
like there's federal regulations that have free trade across state boundaries. You know, no state can charge a tariff from one state to the other.
Right.
You know, that's one of the founding principles of the union is you cannot is the free trade between the states without tariffs or export taxes or anything like that. It's not there. It's not allowed to be there. It's like California can't just decide that it doesn't want anything coming from Texas just because it's Texas.
Yeah.
And put like exorbitant tariffs on it, and which would to stifle Texas's economy or anything like that. They can't legally do it under federal guidelines.
That makes me wonder what this charge would count as. It sounds like it's not going to be a tariff. It's not going to be a tax. It's just an arbitrary fee that the state
It's like a
collects.
subscription.
It's like as near as I can figure, they'd have to process a licensing fee.
Yeah, just like because
Yeah.
you imagine, everybody coins the term like the porn subscription. Like you have to subscribe to porn basically to view.
No, it's
like,
more
a
like
lot of content.
I would say it's probably closer like a driver's license. You have to pay for a driver's license to process it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So like what it would eventually end up being is you'd go to and when you get your driver's license or you register to vote at 18, you also, you know, have a registration number that will block or unblock your porn content for you. You know, I mean, I can think of several ways to do it, but it doesn't make sense to do it.
Right.
So like they can part of what they can do is when you get your license or you register to vote because you're 18 at this point, you know, they can give you an access number.
Mhm.
An access number that will allow you through the blocks. You know, you try to go to that freaking website and the block will come up. Please enter your adult access number to bypass said block. Right?
Actually, Sonny, Sunbird 2 just brought up an interesting point.
Yeah,
You
I
could
saw that.
You could easily avoid this entire thing as a consumer by just being like, oh, I'm just going to use a VPN.
Yeah, a VPN that's like outside the state.
Yeah.
This whole thing is ridiculous and tedious and stupid. It's like if it passes, it will never be enforceable.
No. And it just like the whole concept around it of is just simply being able to be enforced.
And on top of
there's so
that,
many-
like the Supreme Court would have no choice but to rule it unconstitutional.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
well-
the second that that Rhode Island tried to hold
Mhm.
the second that not a VPN, an internet service provider received a lawsuit under Rhode Island state courts, they would bring it up to the Supreme Court. They would, if they lost, they'd appeal it, and it would go up to the Supreme Court. They would go all the way up to a higher federal court because it's unconstitutional. And then the federal court would have to rule in the favor of the internet service provider because it's unconstitutional. As far as I'm aware, as far as my understanding would go. And what do you guys think?
I'm just
About the
like
same,
for
really.
me,
I mean,
I get stuck in the implementation of it. Like let's not even
The
ignore
the implementation actually is not as hard. You know, you would think it would
right,
just be, well, the initial implementation at least, but
right,
programming in these access keys to get through the blocks, that would be tedious as fuck.
right, but not even to mention like, but
it'd be costly to the
sorry,
companies for one.
yeah, but just like going into this sexual content and potential offensive material, it's just like it could set a precedent. Like at the very least, they could that would be allowed to go through, and I just
It would be what's the phrase? Censorship of freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of expression. That's what it would go down under.
Technically, yeah.
really.
Yeah, freedom
What
of
is
expression. Pornography, while it has a very niche audience, I say niche, but it's generally designed for adults. It can still be considered cinematography. It can still be considered a form of art, and art is not it is a form of expression. And under free speech laws we have right now, it is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And if they were to ban freedom of expression, or if they were to block freedom of expression through a pay wall, then it wouldn't work.
Yeah. You'd be violating the First Amendment in some capacity.
Exactly. And not only that, it would also be the free trade agreement that's part of being part of the union, tariffs or taxes on imports of goods, or imports or exports of goods.
That'd be a sort of, how do I phrase it? Secondary consequence, but a consequence nonetheless.
Well, it would be the primary consequence because pornography is first and foremost a good,
Okay,
right?
okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Second, if they try to second, it would be a censorship of freedom of speech or expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just something that is kind of just coming. This is kind of coming after the whole. Was it Florida that passed the bill that registered porn as a health risk, a public health risk?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was Florida.
It kind of feels like this is just like the next step from that bill.
Well, thinking about it, like, let's suppose you've got a subscription to Brazzers. Would you have
Well,
to
What?
then pay money to unlock something you've already paid for?
pretty much.
That that
Yeah,
that seems
You're
like
already
something.
paying for a certain
that does happen a lot.
provider, and you have to pay more money to said even use it. You know, there are certain things that does happen with,
Right.
and I don't agree that those things should be happening, but it really just comes down to there are already laws in place that says, you know, you have to be so old to buy or purchase pornography,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
You know, you have to be 18 or older to cigarette. You have to be 18 or older. No, pornography. You have to be 21 or older to buy alcohol. You know, the age restrictions are already there, but to further put in a money restriction, you have to pay $20 to view porn. It's you have to pay $20 to the state to view porn. Fuck you.
Yeah. Move out of Rhode Island, guys. Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
I mean, Rhode Island is what, 50 square miles?
It's tiny.
It's
So
tiny.
There's probably no one living there anyway.
There's a number of people living there.
All right. Well, I say we move on to our next article.
Yeah, I think we said everything that needs.
Mm-hmm. So, let's go back to the article that we were unfortunately unable to deal with.
Oh,
scroll a
okay.
little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Yes.
Found the alternate method. Scroll up. Here we go. Ah, yes. So, starting over from square one, YouTube recruiter sues Google for allegedly refusing to hire white and Asian men. This is from The Verge, courtesy of Addie Robertson?
Addie Robertson. Yeah, something like that.
At the Dextriarchy. Okay. I didn't need your Twitter handle, but okay.
Hey, we're in an age of social media.
True. Alright, once more with feeling. A former YouTube employee has sued Google for allegedly pressuring recruiters to only look for female, black, and Hispanic or Latin of applicants. Arne Wilberg, who spent 9 years working at Google, filed a discrimination suit in January, and the Wall Street Journal reported its existence today. Wilberg claims that Google implemented clear and irrefutable policies meant to exclude white and Asian men in an attempt to increase the company's overall diversity. He also claims that Google retaliated against him for opposing these policies, eventually firing him in November 2017. Wilberg's lawsuit targets Google and 25 unnamed Google employees who allegedly enforced discriminatory hiring rules, quoting a number of emails and other documents. It claims that for several quarters, Google would only hire people from historically underrepresented groups for technical positions. In one hiring round, the team was allegedly instructed to cancel all software engineering reviews with non-diverse applicants below a certain experience level, and to purge entirely any applications by non-diverse employees from the hiring pipeline. But what standard is non-diverse?
You know the standard. It is.
I know, but I'm going to ask
anyway. It's ethnically diverse, and it's just. Yeah, keep going.
California labor law prohibits refusing to hire employees based on characteristics like race or gender. So they're breaking their own rules, even though... what was it the California Labor Board that deemed Google was permitted to do this? With the whole demo thing? Because I know he lost his suit.
No, he didn't complaint.
Okay.
He withdrew the complaint he had lodged with them, and now he's filing an actual lawsuit.
Okay, that's different. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay, that's different. All right. Wilberg alleges that several employees complained to Google about the company's hiring policies, but were either ignored, transferred, or demoted. The lawsuit says that some employees from the marginalized groups were uncomfortable with a program called Project Mirror, where they would be specifically assigned to interview candidates of their own race or gender. One person allegedly complained that managers were speaking about blacks like they were objects. Whew. Whew.
I don't know very many ways to get your ass completely fucked by the federal government. other than, talking about blacks like they're objects.
Sunday interview candidates of their own race or gender. What is that supposed to do? Just
I have
make
no
you
idea.
feel more comfortable during the hiring process because, oh look, another Hispanic chick works here. Christ. Okay. Google told the Wall Street Journal that we have a clear policy to hire candidates based on their merits, not their identity. At the same time, we unapologetically tried to find a diverse pool of qualified candidates for open roles, as this helps us hire the best people, improve our culture, and build better products. Like what? You haven't innovated anything in the last 10 years. However, the journal cites anonymous sources that corroborate some of Wilberg's claims. As of 2017, 69% of Google's workforce was male, compared to 70% in 2014, and 91% was white or Asian, a percentage that's barely changed over 3 years. But 2 former Google employees sued the company earlier this year for allegedly discriminating against white men in a far more nebulous and wide-ranging complaint. There we go. Okay, there's the complaint. All right. Conversely, Google is also facing lawsuits alleging that it underpaid women, fired an employee for pro-diversity web posts, and created a bro culture that encouraged sexual harassment.
They're a shit creek without a paddle right now.
This is a very, very long PDF.
Oh yeah, that's the whole suit case.
Okay.
So wait, which is it though? I mean, are they non-politically correct assholes who treat women like trash, or are they politically correct assholes who treat men like trash?
Okay, this is Wilberg's
see, this is the Horseshoe theory. That's what it is. It's horseshoe theory, right? They have gotten to the point where there is enough
ambiguity.
Yeah, to where they have just flipped over.
Well, this is a 29-page document. Wow.
I mean, dude, yeah, I'm not surprised. Freaking legal documents, fucking shit.
Yeah.
They have to define everything that's said. Oh. Which is a good thing.
And so on and so forth. Okay. Venue, yeah, what? Okay, yeah. Well, we're not worried about this right now.
No, we're not.
No.
Stop fucking displaying it. You're driving away. Dickhead.
Oh god, legalese. Someone stop. Anything but that.
Yeah, so does that mean we have 2 people right now suing Google for the same thing?
Pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but it's still... One of them actually was in human resources hiring teams.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other one was an actual... who is suing because of being fired due to discrimination. The other one is saying, hey, this is all the shit that happened. Discrimination happened, that legal, that happened in Google. And I was fired because I disagreed with it. I was fired because I disagreed with them doing illegal shit. So, while they are similar, they're not the same. So,
All right. Shall we move on to article number? What is this number? three,
Let's-
four. Number
let's
4 then.
Let's move on to the USA Today article.
USA Today. Throwing wrenches at me here. USA Today, oh, up there. Oh, Jesus, this one. Let's move that over. Oh, fuck off, USA Today. I don't need you here. Real quick, I'm going to get up and get a glass of water. So, give me like 30 seconds. Time me if you
Counting.
like.
All right. So,
we're waiting now.
I guess he should have done is he should have clicked play on the video and then left.
Maybe.
Had dead air.
I mean, we don't really have dead air right now. And we lost someone. We lost someone. Oh, and they're back. Okay, cool.
Are you
back.
watching the watching now? Is that-
Yes, I'm always
that what you-
watching. I'm always watching the watching now. It entertains me. Now we're down to 9. We're down to 9. We lost 2.
The more you mention
Alright.
it.
It's all my fault, isn't it? I don't know what happened, but it's all my fault.
All right. So, Pig, read this.
I will read this one. Bring it up. It's the 11-year-old thing, right?
Yeah. Someone
Alright.
called
USA
Destiny quick.
Today. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh no. Shut up. No.
We don't need you, Sean Hannity.
Oh god.
What the fuck is going on?
Oh no, it was just a freaking ad.
Oh.
Oh.
Thought your I heard a little bit in the background. I thought your TV came back on.
No, it's just an ad. Tallahassee, Florida. A woman who was 11 when she was forced to marry her rapist has worked for 6 years to ban child marriages in Florida. Excuse me, I was trying not to cough my lungs out. On Friday, she was hailed as for anyone under 17. State lawmakers
Jesus.
have repeatedly cited Sherry Johnson as inspiration to change the law. She watched in the House gallery as the bill passed the House on a 109 to 1. Who the fuck voted against that?
Oh,
We need to.
No. It was one person, and he seemed to be he had an issue. What was
With the
his
way the bill was worded or something?
No, he was talking about marriage, and he was thinking that if we change this, it's going to make it easier for the gays. Like it was this small spiel about marriage and the gays, and I'm just like, what?
How is this person in the House of Representatives in this day and age?
This will make it easier for the gays to get married. Excuse me.
Question here. Which is more important? Allowing an 11-year-old to marry her freaking rapist or allowing a gay person to get married? One of them is absolutely wrong, beyond a shadow of the doubt. The other is, how does this hurt you? It really comes down to it. Moving on. My heart is happy, she said afterward. My goal was to protect our children, and I feel like my mission has been accomplished. This is not about me. I survived, and I applaud this woman.
Yeah, So basically, like a little I don't know how much that goes into the history of her. So basically what had happened was is she had she uh what's the was it a deacon?
Mm-hmm.
It was a deacon. Yeah. So a there was a deacon in the church had sex with her when she was 10 years old and got her pregnant. Now, there's a law in Florida that basically says that if you can marry a child if they are pregnant, and like I think the pre-crux is if they're pregnant, they can get married to the person who got them pregnant,
Which
only if the parent's signature and then a judge saying that's okay. And typically the judge does saying it's okay from what little research I did into this. And so she was one of those.
I can guarantee most judges in would actually no, this is not okay. If of the times that it has probably happened, like the vast majority of the times that it happened, like back in the day, maybe it would work out. But I can tell you right now, in Florida, if a 29-year-old man went to the parent and said, "Hey, I slept with your daughter. She's pregnant. Can I marry her?" He wouldn't make it out of that freaking house alive.
Probably. But
Yeah,
this
that's my question: is what the fuck happened to the parents to allow that?
I don't know. All I know is that it's fucking stupid. I mean, it's got to be really backwaters type thing to have happened. Think
Yeah.
the Deliverance backwaters.
Right. So under this loophole in the law between 2000, like the year 2000 and the year 2015, 207,000 minors were married in the United States using this specific thing.
throughout the states, or
But yeah, within the United States, there's multiple states that have this. It's not just Florida.
so think Latter-day Saints.
What?
If you think Mormons, or if you think Jehovah's Witnesses,
Yeah,
severe religion, then that number starts to make sense.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know how often this does happen.
No, I
Where a
understand.
judge would just be like, sure.
I understand, but if you were trying to say that, I know what probably happened a lot. Florida is the person showed up, and nobody saw him leave that house on his own 2 feet again.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the article.
Let's get back to the article. Okay. Yeah, it's what you're saying though. It's still pretty fucked up. It does happen. It does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if you really think about how many people, how many families are in the United States as a whole, and then you look at that number. I'm not excusing it. I'm saying that I can
Yeah.
given actually active in the United States today. Moving on. The bill was a compromise between the House and Senate. The Senate originally passed banned the marriage of anyone under 18, but the House had wanted to carve out exceptions for some 16 and 17-year-olds when there's a pregnancy. Okay.
I can see
Not
the logic.
liking
there.
where
Quite
this is
agree with
going. The bill going to Republican Governor Rick Scott, who I'm actually kind of annoyed with right now, would set limits on the marriage of 17-year-olds. While pregnancy wouldn't be a factor anyone marrying a 17-year-old couldn't be more than 2 years older, and minors would need parental consent. Scott's office said he will sign the bill. Now, I'm not against that. Like, with the need to be more, it goes back to the Romeo Juliet clauses, right?
Yeah.
So, like, a typical Romeo Juliet clause, it's not statutory rape if they're within a couple of years of each other, or a few years of each other. So, like, a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old, if they were, intimate with each other, then it wouldn't be considered statutory rape. Because they're within a certain range of age of. But, if a 16-year-old, different. They wouldn't have even been in school together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, where was I? Scott's office said he will sign the bill.
Yep.
Currently, 16 and 17-year-olds can marry with the consent of both sets of parents. If a pregnancy is involved, there's no minimum age for marriage if a judge approves. A legislative staff analysis showed that between 2012 and 2016, 1,828 marriage licenses were issued in Florida to couples when at least one party was a minor. That includes a 13-year-old, 7 14-year-olds, and 29 15-year-olds. They don't say the age of the person who is older, though.
Yeah.
I actually have a breakdown graph of that, but keep going.
In one case, a 14-year-old married another man over 16 or 17 years old.
Jesus.
In some cases, girls were allowed to marry men more than twice their age. They have to consent to this, though, right?
That's the key. Is the consent.
Please tell me that the girls were actually consenting to this marriage.
I would hope so.
Supporters say changing the law will make sure no child is forced to marry a man who raped her, even if she's pregnant. This is actually kind of disturbing.
Mm.
This is incredibly disturbing. Supporters say changing raped her, even if she becomes pregnant. Still, Republican Representative George Moraitis voted against the bill. Freaking get that man out of office. While he didn't say anything during the floor debate Friday, he did say last month when he opposed the bill in committee that the current law is very good, in my opinion, a very carefully crafted balance. There's literally only a handful of cases that would fall under what I would say are potentially abusive.
Except for, the 1,800 marriages.
Well, I would actually have to see, like, the ages of both of them. It's very. I can say, like, the age of the person of the younger and the age of the older.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a breakdown of the United States and how the United States worked.
No, but not in Florida. Well, either way, this is quite. I don't understand why a judge in any state would just say, "Yeah, this is okay."
Well, okay, so in Florida, there is no age floor for how early you can get married. Let's see. Oregon has one at 17. New York has one at 17. Nebraska has one at 17. And then just a large amount of the country doesn't have one. and then the rest of it is like at 16 is the age floor. There's no inherent laws against getting married, and then there's also this clause that's in Florida that doesn't make it illegal. So like when you get into it, if you were to look at the case of this girl in Florida, there's no marriage floor. So there is no limit on when someone can get married. So that's not a thing that would cause the problem. The law itself, so in specifically, this is talking about when in the law, when a pregnancy is verified by a written statement of the licensed physician, then the county court judge of any court in the state may, in his or her discretion, issue a license to marry. So it exists, and there's almost no laws that are sitting there and saying this is wrong. I mean, besides pedophilia laws, which is what makes this so confusing to me. Like, I know you tried to school me on like what is pedophilia, but I just mean
I was just giving you shit, to be honest. The general understanding of pedophilia is children. It doesn't matter how old the child is, whether it's a prepubescent child or if it's an adolescent. That the vast majority of everyone thinks of that as pedophilia, even though there are 3 different terms that actually talk about it. Pedophilia being prepubescent, and then hebephilia being, early adolescence, like 11 to 14, say that. And then ephebophilia, which is later stages of adolescence, 15 and older. But still, marrying a child or even, having sexual intercourse with a child is fucking wrong.
Right, but when you get into the laws surrounding it,
when you get into the laws, I would not be in favor of a law that lowers the age of consent from 18 to 16, because in my mind's eye, that 16-year-old would still be a child, because that 18-year-old thing, that's what I grew up with. That has severely influenced my idea of what constitutes a child. But there are other countries like Japan, for instance. The age of consent is somewhere around 14.
Yeah, but so when you look at the law, there's no law against getting married at a certain point. There's a law that almost encourages, if there's a pregnancy involved, to get married. I think the only thing that is confusing me is to confirm that there is a pregnancy. That would mean that the adult would then be confirming his own thing about, having had sexual intercourse with a child, which is statutory rape. But if there's a pregnancy involved, statutory rape is no longer considered, I guess.
Hence, because she wasn't tracking. I apologize profusely. I feel like he's being silent because of massive amount of rage.
What, me?
Just keep going with the article.
I'm just letting you 2 talk. Come on, it's fine. I don't care. That's what these streams are for. Honestly, it is.
So yeah, I mean it's. So what you're saying is that there's no law to that really sets the age for how old a person can be to get married. There's only really guidelines that say that if you're this age, you have to have parental consent, right?
Right.
Hmm. I don't know. Keep going with the article.
The next sentence explains the incompetence.
Okay. Moving on. In one case, blah blah blah, supporters say changing the law will make no to the law. There's literally one hand, blah blah blah. After the vote, Republican, blah blah blah. She's the star, Ben Equisto said to reporters before rushing back to the Senate floor. Johnson was 9 when she was raped by a church deacon, 10 when she gave birth, and 11 when she married. I knew it had to do with religion. Johnson said her church pressured her mother to consent to the marriage and a judge approved it. That was 47 years ago. She
Shit.
ended up giving birth to 5 more children with the man before breaking free from the marriage several years later.
Christ.
She wasn't able to attend school, and her experience led to a string of abusive relationships. While the soon-to-be law wouldn't have prevented Johnson's rape or pregnancy, she wouldn't have been forced to marry, and she said that could have prevented her from years of abuse. And that's the end of the article.
There's one little quote from her at the bottom.
No, you're right. It would have changed my life by continue to have children to continue to have my downfall, she said. I would have been a single mother, and I think would have done well. This
It's
is
horrible.
this is a pretty this is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, so some stats. So most of the minors who are married are girls. 87% in the United States of minors who get married using this clause are females. And 1% of it sits under for minors who get married is under 15 years old. 4% is 15 years old. 29% is 16-year-olds. 67% is 17-year-olds. So the majority of this, is between 18 to 20-year-olds as the adult, and 17-year-olds as minor. But you still have
The every once in a while you're getting a vast age difference too.
Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
The,
You have
like the 90-year-old and
right. So anyone at 24 years or older, sits at about 15% is 24 years and up, and then 15 years down is about 5%. For minors. Youngest children to be married were 10 years old. And the majority of children that were married were, and there was 985 children that were married at 14.
Hmm.
friggin' A.
There's 368 adults that were in their 40s when they did this. Yeah, there's just like I didn't even know this existed. I was
Me
sitting
neither.
here just going through this and reading the stats and so
That's this whole thing is disturbing. Let's
Well,
move on to something that's a little bit more.
Move on to the last one of the night.
Last one of the night, and that is Elon Musk's Tesla could be a biothreat to Mars.
Sweet Buck, take it off.
All right.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, take it off. Take it all off.
Okay, hold on. Just
Oh God, no! Put it away! Put it away! Put it away!
you said Susan, an older kid, told me to do it. Please don't ban my channel.
Well, while I am older, you can't really say an older kid because neither of us are kids. You were consenting.
There was no contract.
You were still consenting. We had it on. We have it on video. You said okay.
We had a deal. We. All right. Elon Musk's Tesla could be a biothreat to Mars. Morty. This comes from Inverse.com, courtesy of Ray Paoletta. And this is fairly recent, about a little less than a week old. We regret to inform you, Elon Musk's widely beloved Tesla Roadster could contaminate Mars. What is this, The Division?
Considering that car is floating around in a vacuum. No.
I don't think things are going to live for very long.
No, like there isn't very many bacteria that can live in space. Like I was talking to this with Sunny, and the water bear is like probably the only that has been
Yep.
confirmed
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
well-
able to survive out in space.
Whatever the hell those are called. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a
Starts
type
with
of
It starts with a T, doesn't it?
yeah, pretty sure.
I forget what they're called.
Either way, their common name is water. They can survive vacuum.
Yeah.
They can survive being frozen. They can be survived being dried out. They can survive in hard radiation, but they still can't survive without food.
Yeah.
So after a certain period of time, even if that were to crash and say it had a water bear on it, it would still need food, and it would still need water in order to be active.
Right.
It would still need liquid water.
Yep.
Alright,
So the chances of it contaminating are pretty fucking slim.
Yep.
All right.
Go on.
Scientists at Purdue University have released a statement on the sports car and its captain, the now infamous Starman. The researchers are concerned that the car could be carrying an enormous load of bacteria from Earth, which could spell trouble in the slim chance it crashes into Mars. If there is an indigenous Mars biota, it's at risk of being contaminated by terrestrial life, Jay Melosh, a professor of Earth atmospheric and planetary sciences at Purdue University, says in the press release. Would Earth's organisms be better adapted, take over Mars and contaminate it so we don't know what indigenous Mars was like? Or would they be not as well adapted as the Martian organisms? We don't know. I don't think a lot of Earth life could survive on Mars given its atmospheric content, but I'm just guessing. Melosh continued, even if SpaceX radiated the outside, the engine would be dirty. Cars aren't assembled clean, and even then there's a big difference between clean and sterile. I don't think they would have filled it with gas.
You're still technically sterilizing the car when you send it into space.
Yeah.
Well,
Go
the
ahead.
thing is not only are you sending it out in space, but the areas where, they're talking about, like inside the engine block, pretty sure there's a thing called fucking fire.
and high temperatures and chemicals that are actually hostile to organic life existing in that engine block. You
Yeah.
know, like with all the fucking fire and the oil and the high operating temperatures. Do they not realize that engine blocks operate at like 500 or 600 degrees at a
Minimum.
minimum? At a minimum, yeah. Not only that, but the uh, the coolant tubes that are flowing through that engine block, they're generally filled with water mixed with a chemical
Usually
called
antifreeze. Yeah.
antifreeze. And antifreeze kills living things. It's actually quite a successful disinfectant.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Keep it away from your pets.
and then you have engine oil. Engine oil is actually quite toxic despite it being a biological compound. It's a biological compound.
You cut out there.
I'm sorry.
Heard biological compound and then it stopped.
It's a biological compound. It's like it's a compound that's created from it, they call it fossil fuels for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dead things from millions of years ago got compressed down into oil after, you know, heat and pressure for a while. Chemical changes happened. And it's not exactly, you know, supportive of biological life as we know it. You know?
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
this guy sounds like a biologist, not a mechanical engineer. And what do
uh,
biologists know about engines? Generally speaking,
I
not a
mean,
lot.
it could have bacteria in it.
But whatever's in the engine is not gonna live.
It's not going to be alive. You
Yeah.
also have to the engine block iron. And iron, while it does block some radiation, it doesn't block most radiation. In fact, in order to block certain types of radiation, you need about 5 feet of concrete or a foot of lead.
Yeah.
Lead being the densest metal, non-exotic metal that we know of. It's denser than iron, and you need a foot of it. And the chambers inside an engine block is going to be less than a foot of iron. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that. The body's made of aluminum. So, yeah.
Oh, biologists. All right, where was I? Here we go.
A professor of Earth, atmospheric, and planetary.
And, yeah,
So,
planetary sciences.
not a biologist.
Or a chemist. I think a chemist might know some
Or a
of these things.
physicist.
Or a physicist. Oh, asking the wrong people in verse. NASA has an Office of Planetary Protection that is primarily tasked with ensuring earthly spacecraft doesn't contaminate other worlds. But the department doesn't regulate spacecraft in orbit, and since the Roadster was never supposed to land, it wasn't wiped of bacteria before takeoff, because it's going to be in a vacuum. Inverse has reached out to SpaceX to see if the aerospace company took any measures to clean the vehicle before liftoff, but as of this writing, we have not heard back. Okay.
Then why did you write it? Like, I would wait for a response at least. It sounds like this is all based off of the assumption they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just...
I like this. I like this.
All right.
Please go on.
Yep, okay. The load of bacteria on the Tesla could be considered a biothreat or a backup copy of life on Earth. Alina Alexenko, a professor of aeronautics and astronautics at Purdue, said in a statement. Why not just ask someone at NASA? I think they would know more than a professor at Purdue. NASA's new planetary protection officer, Lisa Pratt, seems similarly disenchanted with the space car. We were supporting SpaceX's launch, but we did not have a planetary protection plan in place, she said in a presentation to the Planetary Science Advisory Committee. Space News reports. We have to figure out how to work closely, how to move forward in a collaborative posture, so we don't have another red roadster up there in orbit. Well, if it's...
Could I just say one other thing? People don't seem to be.
What's that?
Think about the size of the road.
Yeah, comparatively, it's pretty small. We're not.
No,
dropping
it's even more than that. If that roadster were to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, it would burn up.
Yeah, it would.
You would.
If that roadster were to Mars atmosphere, it would fucking burn up.
Yeah.
It would fucking burn up before it reached ground. It would disintegrate. Because it would be so hot that it would fucking disintegrate.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd put that out there.
Alright.
But biohazard though.
But my biohazard.
Biohazard, yeah. Even in the case the Tesla did crash into Mars,
Which it won't.
unless SpaceX fucks up, which is very unlikely based on its trajectory.
Which as in it won't.
Yeah. It could be millions of years before that happens, according to the researchers.
Or not at
Purdue.
all.
So fingers crossed that the literal worst-case scenario doesn't happen, and that Musk's admittedly well-executed PR stunt doesn't destroy the solar system. Boy,
How would it
that
destroy
went
the
from,
system?
went from
Wow.
0 to 100 real fucking quick.
It went to posing a possible biohazard to Mars's ecology, which it doesn't have, to destroying the fucking solar system.
God
I
damn.
mean, okay,
Dudes,
that's
you're just not looking at this with the fourth dimensional chess, my dudes.
was that Dr. Lehman or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this entire article is incredibly stupid. It overlooks like just easy things that me, someone who doesn't know shit, can just be like, wait, would bacteria even be able to live out in space? No, they wouldn't.
Most
Then-
bacteria would not be able to live out in space. Yes, you are correct.
So, and then, like, there are so many things that would just completely throw off this entire thing. Not only that, they even claim here, we reached out to SpaceX to see if their aerospace company took the measures to clean the vehicle before liftoff, but as of this writing, we have not heard back. So the entire thing is also based on an assumption that
Jesus
they
Christ.
didn't take any
You know what?
fucking measures.
You know what I just realized? This is a fucking Tesla.
Yeah.
It's not an internal combustion car.
No, it's electric.
I was going on about a freaking combustion engine, and it's not even an engine vehicle.
There's nothing to burn. I think you'd still need some coolant if you're going to reach highway
No, I mean
speeds,
it's got a battery which is assembled under clean room conditions.
Right.
and it's full of acid.
It's got an electric motor which is assembled under clean room conditions.
Yeah.
These people are fucking retarded.
Some science site this is. Jesus.
This was a joke of an article.
This is fucking retarded. It's under clean room conditions. Do you know what clean room conditions are?
Completely sterilized. For one.
Yeah. Like, cleaner than a freaking opera.
Yeah. So spotless, like, you'd make a fucking drill sergeant blush. Christ on a fucking bike.
I am entirely entertained by.
You guys want to watch the video 3 times Elon Musk failed harder than you ever will? By the same people?
Not really, no.
Nah.
This whole thing, yeah, but this whole thing is just like when I first read it, I had to scroll down and see if it was saying this was a parody, because I didn't want to get caught, like, you know, doing with a Poe. But
Dude, either way, even if it's Poe, it would be pretty freaking hilarious. I'm not opposed to covering.
yeah, but we would address it in a different way if it wasn't.
No, we would probably we'd probably be laughing a little bit less.
Yeah.
The simple fact that this isn't a Poe makes it even more hilarious than if it was a Poe. Like, come on, it's fucking this. Seriously, 90% of that car, the parts of that car that aren't going to be exposed to freaking hard vacuum right from the get-go, were assembled in clean room conditions. And not a single bit of that car is pressure vessel worthy. So it's going to be exposed to hard vacuum if it's got any air pockets in it. If it doesn't have any air pockets in it, odds are, whatever's in there, bacteria-wise, it's fucking dead. How is that dead material going to pose a biohazard, especially since that any possible collision with Mars is like millions of years from.
It's also slim to none. It even said right here, which is unlikely based on the trajectory. So what the fuck is the point? like
if it's not gonna happen, why complain about it?
The entire premise of this
was
it could contaminate Mars, and then at the end it finally decides to let you know, oh well, the plan
By the
is
way, this actually probably isn't going to happen. We just thought we would, alarm you. This is the whole fucking point of this thing is to cast shade at freaking
Elon Musk.
And Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's
the whole point of this fucking that's the whole point of this entire fucking article.
Oh.
Humans, you disappoint me. You amuse me, but you disappoint me.
Fucking A.
Jeez. Man.
Fucking A indeed. Anyways, I think that is actually a good spot for go ahead and call it an evening.
I think so too.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Locked and Loaded, episode 008, format savings time. I am your host, Smart Pig, and my fellow host, Sergeant Buck, and our program manager, Pavaros. If you would like to exit music cue now, if we even have it.
Not this time.
Fuck you.
You
Thank you and good night.
Good
night, everybody.